Extreme electric bike review after 30 days. What's up YouTube? It's Jermaine, back with another video, and in this video I want to review the Extreme e-bike after 30 days of use. Now if you follow my channel, you know I'm the type of guy, I always try to figure out the best way to get around the city, the most cost-effective way to get around the city, etc, etc, etc. So recently, this past month, I decided to try out one of these, an electric bike. I decided to pick the Extreme e-bike because this was one of the cheapest e-bikes I could find, and it seemed to be pretty decent. Now another reason I picked this bike, if you follow my vlogs online, I used to rent this thing called Scoot, and I would rent Scoot for, I don't know, anywhere from 4 hours to 8 hours to 10 hours a day, and Scoot would cost anywhere from 10 bucks to 18 bucks a day. So Scoot was racking up, and I remember in the course of 1 month I spent about $500 on Scoot. Well, I was online about a month ago and I saw this bike online and they were having a sale. It was $100 off. So I was able to buy this bike for $550, and I wanted to just test it out for 30 days and to see if, you know, if it was worth it, to see if I could get my money back in 30 days. And I'm not gonna make you watch a whole video. Yeah, I was able to get my $500 back within 30 days with this bike. So within 1 month, what I use this bike for, this bike has already paid for itself. So yeah, when I first got this bike, I was wondering, will this thing actually hold up? Like, I mean, will it die after 2 weeks? Will it die after 1 week? I was really surprised. After the first day of using it, I was hooked. I said to myself, this thing is easy. Like when I pull up to a red light and there's other bikers around, I got an extra boost. So I can take off before everyone else. I can get down the street before everyone else, and I love it. The only thing I added to this bike was this wall rack on the front. This is a wall pizza rack. I'll definitely leave a link in the description below if you want to check one of these out for your bike. But this is a really awesome rack. I delivered food with this rack. I did my laundry with this rack. I've, you know, filled this rack up with groceries. I put skis on this rack. I put all sorts of things on this rack. This rack is great, and you could put these on all sorts of bikes. You don't have to just put these on an electric bike, but I wanted to put this one on an electric bike so I could, you know, have power and I can move a lot of weight at the same time. Especially delivering in San Francisco, there's tons of hills, so a lot of times I'll just fill this thing up with weight and then just pop this puppy down to low gear and just ride straight up a hill, and it'll just be simple, easy. Got a whole bunch of stuff on the front. It's not on my back. You know, it's nice, and it's even great to have a front rack on the bike when you just have a backpack, or like let's say you have a computer bag and you got a charger and you got a camera. You can just put it on the front, and that way you don't have it on your back. So if it's a warm day, you won't, you know, your shirt won't be sweaty from the backpack. So these racks are great. Now this rack does add more weight. I don't exactly remember how much weight, but I want to say about 5 pounds to the bike. So if you have a pretty light bike, you know, 5 pounds may be a lot of extra weight added to your bike. Now I'm gonna just jump right into the drawbacks with this bike. One huge drawback with this bike is the weight. This thing is heavy, and I think I can explain why it's heavy. By this bike being a cheaper bike, this is an older bike. This bike is from, I believe, about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and since then there are obviously newer bikes on the market. This bike here weighs about 75 pounds with the battery attached to the back. Now they have newer ones from 2006 that weigh about 45 pounds with the battery. So the newer ones are a lot lighter, and the newer ones have a much farther range. The range on this bike gets anywhere from 15 miles to 20 miles. That's using pedal assist. I don't know exactly how many miles it gets if you just use the electric mode. I wouldn't really want to try that because I usually like to, you know, get a nice use out of the bike, so I don't want to use the electric mode only. I always use the pedal assist mode. Every now and then when I like stand up to use the bike, I may use only the electric mode, but usually I pedal with the bike and use pedal assist all the time too. So this way I can get a longer range on the battery throughout the day. Another drawback with this bike, the battery could take some time to charge. This thing takes about, I want to say 4 to 5 hours to charge, which can be kind of bad. That would be a full charge. Now, usually what I do is I charge it throughout the day. So in the mornings I wake up, it has a full charge. I ride it from here, get on the train. That's about a mile and a half, a mile. I get off the train, I'm right downtown in the city. I take it over and store it, and that way I charge it up again, and I may have it charged for about 2 hours, and then I may get out and use it. Now this way I have a full battery again, and then it'll last about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. I can get nice power on, and after probably about the second hour it'll start to weaken. Now one thing I have noticed about this bike when the battery starts to weaken, if I'm riding it non-stop, eventually the battery is going to weaken, but if I'll feel less power. But if I am riding the bike and I'm off and on, and I'm stopping and going, and I'm getting off and I'm getting on, and I'm getting off and I'm getting on, I feel that it has more power for like longer periods of time, if that makes any sense. And also, if you're on a flatter surface, you're definitely going to get a longer range on the battery. Working in San Francisco, the hills are like this, so it's constantly hilly. So I constantly rely on this thing. Now, another cool thing about this bike is when you go up a big hill and you use the batteries to help you get up the hill, when you get to the top and you're ready to go down, you can easily cut the batteries off. A lot of times I forget to do this, and I'm using battery to go downhill, and I totally don't need to use battery to go downhill. That's one thing that I've been doing recently, is just shutting the battery off, and I notice that I get a lot more range throughout the day instead of leaving it on going downhill, which you don't need when you're going downhill. I want to show you guys how the seat comes apart. Now, working in the city, I have to have this seat attached to the frame. So what I do is I just use one of these little locks I got from a hardware store. You can just get this cut, the amount. You can go to a hardware store and they'll cut this type of chain any length you want it, and then you can just buy like a little master lock. And I'll just lock it up. I lock from the seat to here to the frame. And it's pretty easy to take the battery off. You just undo the seat a little bit, and then from there you just slide the battery off. Now this battery it's pretty heavy. I want to say it's about 12 pounds. So it's kind of heavy. The bike without the battery is a whole lot lighter, okay? And you can totally ride the bike without the battery. That's definitely one thing I'm going to be doing later today, is riding the bike without the battery. Because it's still a bike. I mean, once you take the battery off, this thing is a whole lot lighter. With the battery on, this thing is a tank. Acceleration and power. This thing has power, actually. It has a decent amount of power. You can get up to about 20 miles an hour. There's two modes to achieve 20 miles an hour. You can use the pedal assist mode, where you just jump on the bike and you pedal for about 2 seconds. After you pedal for 2 seconds, you will feel the power assist kick in, and you will feel yourself being propelled, and pedaling will become much easier. Usually when I ride this bike, I am in the 7th gear, the highest gear, and it is really easy to take off from a dead start. The pedal assist mode, and there's also just the regular power where you can just turn the throttle and the bike will take off. That is one mode you can use. I usually use that mode quite often, because if I'm sitting at a red light, a lot of times I will use the throttle to give me a boost when I'm taking off, so I'm able to take off a lot faster than someone who is on a traditional bike. That way I'm able to get in front of a whole bunch of bikers quick from one intersection, and I'm well in front of them and they're not around me, and I'm able to focus on the road and, ride safely and just pay attention to the road, and I don't have, distractions and a whole bunch of other bikers around me. The power is really nice. That's one thing I really love about this bike. I love having that extra boost. I love pulling up to a red light and I can take off a little bit faster. I love approaching a hill that's a pretty big hill, and I can cycle up that hill normally instead of, cycling up that hill, and by the time I get to the top of that hill, my whole shirt's covered in sweat and I'm just like, This month, this bike has saved me a lot of money. I would have requested a lot of Uber rides this month. This month, I did not take one Uber ride because I didn't need to, because I had this bike. I had this thing, and it saved me so much money. So if you guys are looking to buy an electric bike, this bike is actually held up quite a bit. One other drawback I just want to throw out there. Now, this is not a big deal. The pedals broke. Both pedals broke. My pedals look really messed up. My pedals are really easy, very inexpensive to replace. It's not a big deal, but I did want to throw out there that, you know, these pedals broke really, really easy. Like I say, not a big deal. You can get pedals for like 10 bucks, 15 bucks, 30 bucks online. You can buy an extra battery. You can buy them, you can find them on Amazon. I think they're like $150. I ordered one. Apparently they're on back order, so I'm still waiting on that to come in. 2 batteries, you'll get a lot of range and decent power. Let's talk about some of the other electric bikes that Extreme sells. They sell another bike that's $1,200. I'll definitely leave a link in the description below to this one. But the $1,200 bike gets a range of about 35 miles. The top speed on that bike is up to 25 miles an hour. That's one I'm thinking about getting in the near future. That one is $1,200. Now, the one big difference with that bike is in San Francisco, bike theft is really high, and with this bike, if I leave it on the street and someone steals it, well, I'm only out of about 500 bucks, 600 bucks. If I leave that more expensive bike on the street, it's a higher target and I will be out of more money. So that's really the drawback. I think I will pay 1,200 bucks. Extreme also sells another mountain bike with a 45-mile range, but that bike costs around $2,200. So that's just more money that I would be locking up on the streets of San Francisco, which is a pretty dangerous city for bike theft. So I don't know, I just wanted to give a quick review of this bike, and you know, it's been a really good bike. Really like having this bike around, and it really makes delivering and taking stuff home and hauling random stuff around a lot easier, especially having that extra power. We'll definitely leave links in the description below for this bike and similar bikes that Extreme makes. But yeah, this bike has been a great bike, and I really like this bike. I can't wait to go for a ride later today. So yeah, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this from me, subscribe. And thanks a lot for watching. Peace.